You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
This is East Carolina All-American Bryant Packard, and we're talking Pirate baseball and the Sports Objective.
You're listening to Extra Innings, presented by Next Level Training Center on The Sports Objective. Join us every Sunday night on Facebook Live and our YouTube channel as we talk East Carolina baseball, as we look back at the previous week and take a look at what's ahead. Now, let's talk Pirate baseball.
All right, welcome into Extra Innings right here on the Sports Objective. Obviously, a very up and down week. Pirates lose today, unfortunately, to Tulane, as Tulane is the 2023 champion. Still stings to say that for baseball, but our Pirates are 45-17. They are the regular season champions. We just found out they will not be hosting, unfortunately, in Greenville, right behind me there at Clark LeClaire Stadium. But Bubba Rosenbaum, I've got some good news for you, and I'll pass that along. I've got a couple good news to pass along about the Pirates, my thoughts, but I want to give that to you first.
Yeah, overall doing well. Can't complain. Obviously not the result we wanted, result that any Pirate fan wanted. Going 4-2 on the week, but hey, hats off to the guys, the way they grinded and came back after letting that 6-run lead against South Florida slip on Tuesday. Battle back, won 4 consecutive games. You found a way to get to the championship. First time anyone's ever lost their first game, or maybe come out of the loser's bracket period and advance to the championship. And today we just didn't make the plays, like Coach Godwin said in the post game. And we'll try to give that to you here momentarily, but you can hear it on our YouTube channel and watch and listen to what Cliff Godwin had to say following the game. But he said the guys were largely on fumes. He said on one hand, he perhaps should have played some guys like Nathan Chrisman and et cetera that were a little bit fresher, but he just could not find it within himself to do that because of what those veterans and regulars have meant to the program and earned our way back through the losers bracket to get to the championship. But
Kyle from Grange, he'll come back, but was in the green room for a second there.
But yeah, overall, doing well. Excited about the prospects for postseason play, and the only negative was the nasty weather around here today. 59 and rainy right here at the end of May. It was Connecticut weather, and meanwhile, Matt Simmons up there in Middletown, Connecticut, had North Carolina weather, 85 and sunny, and he's in the pool on a float, and sipping a Pirate beverage, and why he can't take part in the show right now.
Yeah, that tells you the weather gods were not for us here in North Carolina. Let's just say that. And really excited to have all our Pirates here, because you know what? We can flush that. Last week was last week. The good news is, Bubba, I'm going to tell you right now, the 2-seed Pirates, we're going to be a 2-seed. We know that. The 2-seed Pirates, I don't care who you are. Maybe you could argue Wake Forest, some other teams. You better look out. I think that everybody's going to say this is a spin, but I think the Pirates are going to have a chip on their shoulder. I think they should have been a number 1 seed. They should have hosted. And guess what? That's some great motivation. 45 wins and you don't host in your your regular season champs. Hey, I know that they could argue about RPI and all that, but RPI is just one factor. And but we haven't been on the road to a regional since 2016. And Bubba, looking back, I counted up, we played 60 innings, 60 innings from Tuesday till today. A lot of innings. Proud of these guys. And hey, just like the weather is kind of like a storm today, and we're all Pirates. It was a gut punch. It was definitely not what we wanted. But the good news, Bubba, I'm telling you, wherever they put us tomorrow, look out for that number 1 seed. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, everything that we want to accomplish, outside of obviously, what we've what we failed to accomplish today. But those the biggest of our season goals are still ahead of us, and they're within our control, and that's what you want. I'm sure you'd like to be playing at Clark LeClaire Stadium for a 5th straight year, but wasn't to be. And now, and this team played better on the road later in the season, and although it hadn't played great on the road the first half to 2/3 of the season, it perhaps wasn't quite as bad as the record led you to believe, because, like Coach Godwin pointed out, you had road games and that you lost against quality competition, in very narrow fashion, be it at NC State, where you nearly came back and won there, or at Campbell, UNC Wilmington. Congratulations to the Seahawks; they won the Colonial tournament and advanced out of the CAA with that auto bid. So yeah, you look at it. I think out of our 17 losses, 8 were by 1 run. So you get a few of those that we didn't get, and you're probably hosting for a 5th straight year. But I appreciate everyone chiming in on Facebook and YouTube. You have Stevie Fly, Craig Doucette, Richard Allsbrook, a lot of the usuals, Mark Calloway, Sarah Sanders. But and Richard, we'll come back to your point as far as the hosting breakdown or host site breakdown by conference here in a little while, after we talk more about the Pirates. But Craig Doucette agrees with you, Dave. He says we'll undoubtedly come out with that chip on our shoulders, wherever it is, be it Charlottesville, Conway, Columbia, or what have you, Winston-Salem. But he said what a grind the conference tournament became. No doubt, 6 games in 6 days. You did have the off day on Thursday. Excuse me, I guess it was Friday, and then you had to win the 2 games, which we did on Saturday, before coming up just a little bit short today. So certainly not going to go through and talk about each of those 6 games. No need to go that in depth, but did want to highlight some of the excellent individual performances, because to make the run that we did after losing game 1 and winning 4 straight, it was definitely the epitome of a team effort, and really highlighted the Pirates' depth. You saw guys like Landon Ginn, 5 appearances out of the bullpen, really did some nice things. Danny Bill did what Danny Bill has done of late, and really the majority, if not all, of the season, and he's fantastic. He had 9 innings over 4 appearances, and Danny Bill allowed just 1 run on 2 hits and struck out 12 over those 4 appearances. And had it not been for Garrett Saylor pitching so well in game 1 against South Florida on Saturday, then Danny Bill would have been the repeat winner of the PGXGloves.com Pitcher of the Week. But because of the job that Garrett Saylor did, it had to be his best start of his career. 8 innings, 1 run. That was on the solo bomb about the 5th or 6th inning, which broke up the no-hitter. The only other hit he allowed was, I believe it was a double there in the 9th when he was attempting to close it out before we went to the bullpen. 112 pitches, but through those 8+ innings, just 1 run on 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, and 1 walk for Garrett Saylor. Congratulations to him, our PGXGloves.com Pitcher of the Week. Dave, you're on mute.
Thank you, Bubba. Sorry about that. I was talking to our good buddy Shell Powell, and I said it. Garrett Saylor, he threw like he was in the College World Series, and he's meant so much to the program. Him and Carter Spivey and Hoove, and it's great to have those guys, and to have that. I'm just we're so fortunate and blessed to have a lot of guys like that. That it's not that we really take them for granted because we're appreciative of them, but a lot of these guys would be. We should, honor them even more, I think. But anyway, congratulations to him for getting the PGX Gloves Pitcher of the Week. Garrett Saylor, like Richard Allsbrook said, sail on, like the song from the Commodores and Lionel Richie. He was sailing, man, yesterday, doing his thing.
Yeah, he really was. terrific command, and really had those Bulls hitters, off balance, and chasing the slider off the plate. But Trey Savage,
Oh man.
wanted to highlight what he did out of the bullpen as more of a role that he had taken on last year, even though that second relief outing turned into being so lengthy. It was more like a start. But he looked like the Trey Savage of old. He pitched much more like he did the first half of the season, the first 2/3 of the season before he only went an inning and a fraction out at Wichita. And in 6 2/3, 1 run on 2 hits and 8 strikeouts. And he just had that swagger about him and his command. So great to see Trey Savage pitching so well as we head into the postseason.
No doubt about it. And Richard brought up the fact that how about Justin Wilcox and J-Dub catching all those games, man. He was incredible. And it was 60 innings, 6-0. Like I said, 60 innings and a lot of innings for baseball. But it is a tournament. And, the great thing about it is it stings. It'll hurt, but we're going to come back on Friday and wherever we have to play. And welcome in now on the road. Speaking of a road warrior, Kyle from LaGrange Barber.
What's going on, guys? How's my connection? Y'all hear me all right?
Yes.
All right. I can't hear y'all that great for whatever reason, but I can hear you good enough. I don't know where we are on talking about things, but obviously,
we're talking about the excellent performance by Trey Savage in relief and how he was pitching like he had the first 2/3 of the season prior to Wichita when we had to shut him down.
Yeah, Trey Savage was fantastic, along with a number of guys. But Trey Savage looked like Trey Savage of old the other night in relief, and looked great. Hopefully that spells good for the regionals wherever we are. Hey, good chance we're going to be at an SEC site.
Yeah, 8 of them. Yeah, I still don't understand. The South Carolina is. I understand. Bubba said the RPI, but that's the one of all of them makes sense to me. The South Carolina one, I'm still having a hard time with. But
yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at all the host sites, guys. I just saw the group messages. 8 SEC sites, 4 for the ACC. Have we gone over the 16 host sites already?
No, we're going to come back to that here in about 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
And then we'll expand on that a little bit more because, like Dave said, definitely a lot of pros, but then also some cons on that South Carolina resume, and we'll touch on that here in just a few minutes. Kyle, also right before you signed in, you were talking about other guys pitching well in addition to Trey Savage out of the bullpen, Danny Bill. We had discussed how stellar he was. 4 appearances, 9 innings, 12 strikeouts in those 9 innings, and just unbelievable in relief as he has been for the majority of the season. Something we have not mentioned yet, Zach Root today got the start. You look at his line and you think, well, he didn't pitch well at all. And no, he didn't pitch his best, but he actually pitched pretty well in the first inning. He didn't get any breaks. Really not a whole lot of hard contact off of Zach. I think maybe one of those 3 hits in the first inning, and we had a miscue or 2 defensively where we didn't help him out. Really settled in and pitched pretty well after that. 6 strikeouts and no walks, and really had his off-speed stuff working. So that's great to see as well, as we're pretty limited on the left-handed options. And so it's great to see him. It's also Eric Ritchie, 3 2/3,
yes,
1 hit, 1 hit in 3 2/3 shutout innings, where he struck out 6 and really had his stuff working. So great to see those left-handers on top of their game as we head into the postseason, since we have very few.
No question about it. It's exciting. This is always one of my favorite times of the year. We're going to find out where we're going tomorrow. We're the Road Warriors, the Pirates.
I'm going to predict Columbia.
You're going Columbia.
2 seed Columbia.
All right. We're going to talk about that. We're going to have in fact, Richard Allsbrooks wants to do that, a guessing where we guess where we're going to play. So maybe we can do that in a little bit. But Hey, Bubba, you know the thing for the Pirates. One of the things I thought about is look at the amount of experience that we had pitching wise, like an Eric Ritchie. That's the most he's ever pitched, right? Over 3 innings. That's the most
Yeah,
he's ever.
he threw
What was it?
he threw three and 2/3,
Yeah,
and in those 3 and 2/3, he threw approximately upwards of 50, close to 60 pitches. So so yeah, it's great to see him pitch so well in 3 and 2/3 shutout innings, surrendering just that single hit. And going back to what y'all were saying on Justin Wilcox, and he was the Iron Man behind the plate, and Coach Godwin referenced that at least once, if not multiple times in the post game. I don't know this. It may have been another reason, but perhaps that's why we saw him pitch hit for there in the ninth today.
yeah. I would imagine with this pitching staff, I was really happy with Winter. Came in. I thought he looked good. I'm happy for him to get experience. Zach Root. One of the things, kind of like a building block, and I'll say this, guys. I think that one of the good things you could say about this week is having the 6 days. We got a lot of guys got a lot of experience, and as far as postseason play, and these young guys, man, can you imagine them in a couple of years? I was just thinking about that today with Zach Root, for example. He's going to be really amazing. He has his flashes now, but man, he's going to be really good in it next year or the year after.
Yeah, and I talked about his improving command today and how he really had the off speed stuff working for him. I'm glad you brought that up. Wanted to point out Jaden Winter came in and looked sharp in 2/3 of an inning there late. Believe it was the top of the ninth, and gave us a chance. But he got a big strikeout. On the offensive side, really had a few different options we considered for what they did at the plate, and then also with a glove for our PGXGloves.com Player of the Week. Very easily could have once again been Carter Cunningham. Carter had the grand slam, also had another home run, a double, a triple. He was 9 for 27 in the 6 games. You also had Josh Moreland, who was 9 for 27, 2 home runs, 2 doubles, 8 runs batted in. AMAC had a solid week with 8 hits, and his batting average continues to climb. But we went with Jacob Starling. Congratulations to Star on being our PGXGloves.com Player of the Week. 8 for 25, 3 doubles, 2 home runs, one of which was a grand slam, 11 runs batted in, and played error-free at second base as he had or he did not commit an error in 25 chances.
Yeah, and what's great is, like you're saying, the Jacob Starling, but you got Carter Cunningham and Moylan, a close second for both those guys, and those guys, you give this guy with the 60 innings, like I talk about, you give these guys rest, and they're going to have 4 or 5. Everybody else will. I know Kyle's going to say that, but when you look at our best, no excuses, but I do believe they were on fumes, and they're going to look at AMAC having all those. How many IVs did AMAC have? Like 3 or 4 IVs over the last days?
At least a couple, because we know he did at the hotel, and then between games yesterday.
And one today, right?
Yeah, so at least 2 or 3.
Yeah, so I think a lot of that's just I don't know, maybe exhaustion, but no excuses. Hey, it's over. The good news is we got a lot of experience. There were a lot of positives we can take away. 6 games, 6 days. And the good news, guys, the regionals won't be this bad. The super regionals won't be this bad. And Omaha for sure won't be this bad having this many games. So when you look at our chances for the regional coming up, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I like our chances no matter where we go. I really believe we're a 1 seed. And hey, we didn't get it. So let's go out there and prove them wrong, that we should have been a 1 seed and we should be hosting. I mean, man, we could have, Bubba, after the regional, we'd have 48 wins, another 3.
Yeah, obviously at least 48. If we were to go through the regional without losing, it could be 49 if we were playing our way out of the losers bracket.
Bracket, yeah.
But yeah, that's something I was thinking about as well, Dave. Should the Pirates go where we all want to go to Omaha, then you're going to be. I mean, there's no way around it. You're going to be the second team in program history to win 50 games, because in 2004 we were 51-13. That excellent team that had, the likes of the Lawhorn twins, and then Ryan Jones, Jamie Page, Greg Bunn, etc. Uh, but yeah, so biggest thing in these next few days, get back to Greenville and get our legs, and then just fine tune things before we head wherever we're going.
No
You
doubt,
know what
Bob.
the cool part is about all this? We were disappointed we didn't win the conference tournament. Maybe at times we didn't get some wins we wanted this year against in-state opponents, losing the last one against Carolina, losing one against NC State, Campbell sweeping us. But the cool part about all this is, if this team goes to Omaha, none of that mess will matter. This will be considered the greatest team in ECU history. So everything these guys want to do, they can still do. We're going to have to play our best baseball of the year. We need some luck. I think sometimes in the history of ECU baseball, we've had bad luck. You think maybe at some point the ball will bounce our way and we'll just get lucky. Maybe this will be that year. But it'll be interesting to see where we go, and I'm interested to go over the host sites whenever you guys are ready to get to that.
Yeah, Craig, by the way, had a question. Can we host a super? And yes, we
It
can.
would depend. Yeah,
We can if a top seed gets knocked off and we're higher than the team that knocks them off.
if it's 2 seeds, I don't know how that's done. I don't really think they seed. I don't really think there's such thing as a higher 2 seed than another 2 seed. Bubba, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it just who? How does that work? If two seeds,
they don't come out, and they certainly do not come out and communicate that. When the bracket fell, but through listening to interviews with Coach O's, spending all those years on the committee, some as the chair of the committee, I really, he says that they do their best, at least in the past when he was involved, to balance out a region. So, in other words, like Dave and I were discussing before you joined in, I think this was off the air. You have Wake Forest that most people, understandably think is going to be the top overall seed. So, if we were to go there, you would think that the 3 and 4 seeds are probably going to be a little bit lighter than they would elsewhere.
Yeah.
And
but it still doesn't really answer the question. Let's say we're in the Winston-Salem Regional and we win it. And then let's say that's head-to-head with what's the 16 seed most likely?
Auburn, I think.
Okay, I guess
No,
since we won the
my
higher
guess would be
seeded,
Indiana.
since we won the higher seeded regional, since we won the higher seeded regional, I would assume we would host.
Well, there are different factors that come into play there as far as the bid, and then obviously our background hosting for the last 4 years bodes well for us, and also having hosted a super. So
seems like the fair.
Go ahead.
Seems like the fair thing would be just as simple as that. If it's 2 seeds, whichever seed won the higher seeded tournament should get the hosting spot. That seems it should be that simple to me.
Yeah, depending on how some of the other stuff checks out, I would tend to agree. And then not always, but most of the time. So let's say you do. I mean, look, last year was Ole Miss. Were they a 3 seed last year? I believe when they won it all. So, and then obviously you had Fresno State win it as a 3 seed. So if you have a situation like that where you have an Ole Miss or Fresno State or or whoever, I think we were. Let's see, weren't we a 3 seed when we came out of Charlottesville?
Yes.
I believe so, yeah.
I think we were 3 seed. So if you have a situation where we're a 2 in advance and then you have a 3 advance.
Yeah, we would obviously host, yes. Yeah, I was speaking of a situation of 2 2s only.
I know what you were getting at. So I think a lot of it would depend on who it is. And then like you're saying, if it's a 2 seed, that's maybe a little less reputable and doesn't have the hosting background, but like you're saying, just to be equitable, and leave a little gray area. As long as the host is suitable, then taking that one that defeats the higher seed would make sense.
Yeah.
Like if Indiana State loses, right?
So that Indiana State did get the 16th seed, or
Well,
we know
they do
they're
get a
in, so
regional.
likely the 16.
Yeah, more than likely I would say they're the 15 or
Yeah,
the 16.
I haven't seen. Like I said, I'm anxious to hear all 16 sites.
Yeah,
We were at a
let's go ahead
cookout,
and do
so
just that. Before
Yeah,
we
let's do
discuss
that.
this any further, let's go ahead. I'll put our graphic on the screen here, taking a look at the 16 regional sites, and then we'll continue to discuss where the Pirates may be headed, and then also some of the other regional teams and so forth. But the 16 host sites are Auburn, Baton Rouge, Charlottesville, Clemson, Columbia, Conway. So you got three. It's back to the days where all those teams in South Carolina are playing excellent baseball and hosting. So then you have Coral Gables, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Gainesville, Lexington, Kentucky, Nashville, Palo Alto, Stillwater, Terre Haute, Tuscaloosa, and Winston-Salem.
A lot of C's on that. I like my report card, guys. Charlottesville,
yeah.
Clemson, Columbia, Conway.
I really thought Southern Miss winning the Sun Belt tournament after finishing second in the Sun Belt. Let me tell you something. I'll make a case for the belt here. The Sun Belt, as good as the league as that is, only getting one host site is ridiculous. Southern Miss finished second in the regular season, won the conference tournament. They should have got that hosting site over one of those SEC schools. I don't want to take it away from Indiana State, but eight SEC schools hosting is ridiculous.
Like I
And
said,
one Sun Belt, as good as that league is also ridiculous.
yeah, and guys, Bubba, not to pick on South Carolina, but the Columbia Regional is the one head scratcher for me. I don't know about you guys, but that's the one that I'm really like the Clemson win. As far as Clemson goes, Clemson like is on fire, and they won the ACC tournament, and so you understand that. You understand why Coastal's hosting. But as far as the other South Carolina site of Columbia, and for North Carolina to only have one site, I'm just I thought we would have two.
Yeah, circling back to the Gamecocks, as I mentioned we would do a moment ago, when we were talking about some of the pros and cons of their resume. They were 16-13 in the SEC, and then have an RPI of 8 currently. So obviously, both of those things bode well for them. They did have a series win over Clemson, albeit a much different Clemson team. Would be interesting to see how that would play out now, because that took place back in the first weekend of March. The Gamecocks, I think this was one of the reasons it was most surprising that they did get the host site. And I know D1 Baseball had them going on the road. They actually had Campbell hosting in one of their, if not the final projection, and had I think South Carolina was maybe the two seed at Campbell, but anyway, they lost 11 out of their last 14 games.
Yeah, I hope we get the 2 seed in Columbia. I mean, just because they lost 11 out of 14 doesn't mean anything. But if I could choose where we would go, maybe Columbia. Although somewhere different, like an Auburn or something like that, just somewhere that I don't know. I'm gonna predict Columbia. Jessica's predicting. My wife is predicting Miami or Coral Gables. I don't know where are you guys picking.
I wouldn't mind Conway.
So you're gonna go with Conway, Bubba, and Dave.
I'm going Conway. I love Conway 20. Hello, darling. That's where I'm going.
Both of y'all are going Conway. Okay.
Well, I who knows? It's just a shot in the dark. I mean, we haven't played South Carolina in a while. I could definitely see Columbia happening, and that would be fine with me. It's 2 hours down the road, so certainly would do everything I could to get a hold of a ticket and attend there, as I will most places that are of the region, like Charlottesville, Conway, Clemson.
Winston-Salem.
Yeah, Winston-Salem. I don't really, for some reason, I don't think we'll get sent there. I
don't know, Bubba. They gotta have a strong 2. And while it could be an SEC school there, because you got eight SEC host sites, so you ain't going to send an SEC to an SEC host site. So they could get an SEC 2, but they can't have an ACC 2 there.
Why do
So
they have to have a strong 2?
Well, they don't. You're right. If they give them an easy 3 or 4, you're right. No, that's a good point. But that's a good point. My thinking was backwards there. A 16 seed, you would have to have a strong 2, you would think. But you're probably right. It could be an SEC school there. I'm not scared to go play at Wake Forest. I know their pitching has been unbelievable this year, but at the same time, I don't know. I think we might have more fans there than they would.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, guys. I'm glad you brought that up, Kyle, is the fact that how many fans right now are so close, like on our western part of the state, are Pirate fans. How many fans could get to Winston-Salem very quick? A lot. And
even with it being on a weekend, I mean, even from Eastern North Carolina, with
3
40
hours?
like it is now, I can be in Winston-Salem like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Easy, maybe less.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Wake Forest is a great story, but I don't. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. I don't see them. Do you guys see them winning the whole thing?
That's possible. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, they're good. There's no question they're good. I'm not saying that. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying they're overrated, but I just don't. Sometimes the best team, as we found out today, the best team doesn't always win. So I don't see them winning the whole thing. I really don't.
Well, as two of those teams that I mentioned, Ole Miss and then Fresno State, going way back to the days of Rosenblatt Stadium. I mean, 3 seeds. Fresno State would not have gotten in had they not won the WAC tournament. And then in the case of Ole Miss, I think they were perhaps the last team in, edging out someone like NC State, and then they won it all. So.
And with a strong record like we have of having 45 wins, I know Jessica, D1 baseball had us going to Miami. Isn't that a slap in the face for us to go to Miami that far away from Greenville?
It doesn't bother me. I mean, I wish it was somewhere our fans could attend better, but
I mean, I think we can win. Don't get me wrong. I think that matchup would be that we can beat Miami. I'm just saying, like, as far as even though we're not a 1 seed, wouldn't we be with 45 wins?
Hey, I'm going to send us to Indiana State. We'll be the 2 seed out there.
Yeah.
Not me. I don't have a problem with it. I'm just asking as far as respect to the program, having 45 wins, regular season champions. You make it all the way to the championship game, our strength of schedule. There's a lot of factors in there that for me, if I'm looking at it, I don't know, JR, I'm not sure the RPI now. Is it high 20s rather? I think it.
Give me a moment, and I'll look at that current RPI. Yeah, I want to say it's somewhere between 25 and 29. But a little more about Wake Forest, and while we were on that topic, the Demon Deacons 47-10, 29-3 at home, and in their last 10 games, they lost 3 games, 1 in each of their final 3 conference series, falling to Virginia Tech 14-6, and that was one of their 3 home losses. They lost down at Florida State in the series finale 4-3, and then they had lost a game at home in 12 innings to Boston College 11-9. So obviously they've been really good. In addition to you hear about their arms, you look at some of the numbers they put up offensively, it's pretty impressive as well. I mean, scoring in excess of 20 runs on at least a few, if not several occasions.
I agree. Chuck on YouTube was talking about Auburn. Guys, I know they play in the SEC. They only have 34 wins overall. That's totally SEC bias for them to have a host site. And again, how can we have 45 wins and they only have 34? It's not like it's neck and neck, and you would obviously give it to an SEC site, but to have 8 regional sites, I think that college baseball could do a much better job if they would. And I agree with a lot of our viewers and listeners right now that we need to do a better job of having all those SEC schools. We know they're the best conference, but you can make an argument for the ACC, obviously, in there. They get 4, but you have probably 2 of the best conferences. They have 12 out of the 16. To me, I'm just not really happy with that. But again, it is.
And it's not just East Carolina. How about Campbell on the season they had and the resume they put together? And they have, last I checked, go see what it is currently. I think coming into the day, Campbell had a RPI of 14, and that's where they currently are, 44-13.
Yeah.
Obviously 3 wins over the Pirates, and then some other nice wins on the resume, including one I believe over the Tar Heels. And so hey, yeah, go ahead and last year, Campbell went to. It'll be interesting to see where they get sent because they'll have some folks nervous. You know, whether it's getting sent to Columbia as a 2 seed or, I do think they'll probably stay in one of those regionals pretty close to home with their body of work to reward them. But let's say they do get sent to Auburn after going to an SEC environment. And it wasn't just last year. They also had been to Mississippi State, I think, a couple years ago and performed very well. So they would not be phased one bit going if they did get sent to Auburn or somewhere like that.
Like Indiana State, they won 42 games. I look back on that to double check. I knew it was over 40. They won 42 games. So I have no issues with Indiana State, good program in the Missouri Valley. That's a perfect example of a team that's a good program, and they've had a really good year. So they're well deserving. But Auburn, come on, really?
Yeah, Indiana State. It's great to see someone like that that's not a household name but has a very good program be rewarded. But just given where they were and knowing that they were going to be 15th or 16th seed, probably in one of those last host sites chosen when they were playing Evansville, and Evansville won the first game yesterday, I was pulling for the Purple Aces to win that second game when they got beat 6-0, just because I knew it would help East Carolina's cause. So otherwise, hey, that's awesome. That's great. Much rather see Indiana State than, like you said, a 7th or an 8th SEC team.
Yeah, I mean, I understand they're looking for. I understand as far as the SEC is the best conference. I understand they play a lot of hard things, but as anybody knows has ever played or coached, it's really hard to win games. Period. And when you have 56 games, and like the Pirates have won 45 of those. Well, now what is it? 62 games, I guess they played. But anyway, it's just that's crazy. By the way, Mark Calloway says we're 26 on RPI on Warren Nolan. So that's about what I thought we would be, is the high 20s. So
yes, thank you for chiming in with that. That was the last I'd seen, but I wasn't sure with some of the games not having gone final if that's where we currently were. So Johnny Gardner said Larry Bird played first base for the Sycamores, and
I didn't know that.
And so I Googled that, not doubting Johnny, but I just was not aware of that.
I have never heard that. Wow.
This is an SB Nation article. I'll try to remember to link this to our social media, but it said Larry Bird once played college baseball as a dare, and he was actually good. So,
wow.
So it was talking about them coming off the 33-1 season, and losing in the national championship game to Michigan State, and then it goes on to tell the story. I'll come back to that after I've read the story.
Thank you.
Not surprising with Larry Bird standing 6'9" that he was at first base.
And no doubt. And Johnny, I tell you what, we got the best viewers. I'm not kissing up to you guys. You guys and ladies are tremendous. And we're not talking heads here. We don't have to be the smartest people in the room. And I'm not knocking any of our local media, so don't think when I say that, but I think it's great when we have people that are such great contributions to the show, just like Chuck's of the world, the Marks of the world, both Johnnies, Richard, Craig, Shell. There's so many. Robert, by the way, and how about Stevie Fly on it with us tonight? There's so many great people. That's what's great about this fan base, is that we had a tough loss today, losing the conference tournament, the championship, and we've got a lot of people watching and listening right now. We appreciate you so much, and don't ever think that we ever take it for granted, right, guys?
Yeah, and kind of I saw Richard Alsbrook's comment. I think you just read this, Dave, but
not yet.
wanted to elaborate on this a little bit more. He said, I saw on the NCAA thread on Indiana State that they were 2-9 versus top 50. Please explain yourself other than the AD as a committee member. Well, I'm not going to say a whole lot about that because I believe last year, and correct me on, JR, if you're tuned in, I think last year when the Pirates got a top 8 and obviously hosted both the regional and super regional, we were 2-7 against the top 50, even though we were very good against the quad 2 teams that are 51 to 100. So yeah, I don't. It's clearly not a great record, but I hadn't dove into that to see. Maybe they lost a lot of close games in those 9 losses against the quad 1 teams.
Yeah, and another thing too is if you remember, guys, last year we had 41 wins this point, Bubba, something like that. But we had that 20-game win streak going. In fact, all the way through. That would have been through the regional. Yeah, super regionals when we first lost. So we had 20 games that we won in a row. You look at it, Clemson, guys, I think, is their RPI like 4? But the conference schedule they play, they look at when they're winning. They win the conference tournament. And shout out, by the way, to Eric Bakich and Nick Schnabel, before I forget, for the job they've done. In year one, I have a lot of confidence in them, but year one, and you're going to be a top 8 seed, and you're hosting a regional, and man, they started out so slow. I'm happy that they turned it around.
Yeah, and Clemson is currently 6th in the RPI, and they had a second place regular season finish and then won the tournament today, as I believe we've already mentioned. So yeah, Tigers looking good to grab one of those national seeds. Certainly right there in the mix, and I would say they'll get it. But we also had Robert Matthews. He said we have a committee member also. Cliff Godwin serves on he serves on one with the coaches for the Southeast region. But I think what Robert's referencing is John Gilbert. I think it's next year that John Gilbert goes on.
Right. He actually is starting in July. He's starting in July, and even if it's East Carolina, when it comes to East Carolina, obviously he's going to recuse himself. He can't vote on East Carolina. I know the statement obvious, but for people that don't know, he can't do that. So great to have him on. We're excited to have representation. It speaks volumes to not only John Gilbert, his reputation, but also to our university. So we're happy pride-wise, but it's not going to make that much of a difference.
And Coach O has been in the past. Not currently. What Coach O still is doing, though, is he's a regional site director. So, he may get sent out to Palo Alto or wherever. I know he's been out west at times in the past, in the last few years, perhaps last year. But definitely in the last few, he was sent to Corvallis, because I remember Clip Brock on Pirate Radio was laughing about that, and he had him on, I want to say, live from Corvallis.
Yeah, Coach O is the best, and he told me again, he's very humble as a person. He said, Dave, if they'll have me. And I'm like, come on, Coach O, you're a legend. Everybody knows Coach O in baseball. He told me that.
Oh, no doubt.
Bubba, he said, if they'll have me, come on, they're going to take a guy that, he was at ECU for 45 years. He's coming back out of retirement to be back with the Pirates and ECU. So, Robert, Coach O was back in the day. Now John Gilbert will be. I think his term starts, guys, in the summertime in July, off the top of my head. But he's awesome, and John Gilbert's going to do a great job on that committee. And I would just say to anybody in the committee, again, I am not anti-SEC, but 8 is maybe 2 or 3 too strong. We realize that they're going to get a number of them because they're the best conference, but 8 is definitely on reputation and not because they deserve it. That's just my opinion. If people get mad at me, they get mad at me.
Yeah, and
I don't think very many people on our listener base is going to get mad about that.
No, they won't.
I think you had put this up earlier when we were talking about the breakdown, because Kyle was talking about he was surprised that the Sun Belt only received 1. But
yeah, and he's right about Kyle and I don't always agree on the show. We agree more off air, I think, but Kyle is absolutely right. for the Sun Belt to only have one is a real slap in the face, and I don't understand why they don't have at least two or three. I mean, that's my gut feeling. Their baseball conference speaks for itself, and I'm being fair because we're not even in the Sun Belt, but they have a lot of great baseball in the Sun Belt, and you got to tip their hat. And when it comes this time, that's how you reward them. And to again, I can kind of see the 4 ACC. I can deal with that. The Pac-12, with Stanford, it speaks for itself. But the 8 SEC is where I have a problem. Everything else, and of course the Sun Belt having at least one or two more. But that's what you say, Kyle, is you should take a couple away from the SEC and give it to the Sun Belt, right?
Yeah, I would say take one away from the SEC, Auburn, South Carolina, and give it to Southern Miss. And you have two Sun Belt host schools, and USM over 40 wins, second place in the Sun Belt regular season, and then won the tournament. So that's pretty good resume.
And then in the Big 12, when was the last time you had
just one
a Big 12 co-champion, or actually two Big 12 co-champions, perhaps? Not sure their tiebreaker situation, but the regular season standings, you had Oklahoma State, West Virginia, and the Texas Longhorns at 15-9. Oklahoma State is, of course, the only host there in Stillwater, but the Mountaineers really played themselves out of a hosting opportunity. They lost 5 straight, went 2-Q in the tournament after having gotten swept in Austin by the Longhorns the final week of the regular season.
Yeah, guys, I was going to talk about that. That's one of the biggest surprises coming down the stretch. If it's like a horse race, West Virginia, really, you said that perfectly. I thought Randy Mazey and company, I thought they would beat Texas, or at least obviously win 2 out of 3 there. They didn't. I know it's on the road. And then the shocker, though, for me, that the Texas series is what it is. But for them not to win, to go, like you said, they lose 2 in a row and they're out of the tournament. That was one of the biggest surprises. Did you guys have any more surprises as far as upsets or anything around the country with the conference baseball tournaments? Anybody?
Before we go to that, wanted to throw up a comment here that Johnny Gardner said. I referenced Cliff Godwin. I couldn't think of the term, but just a subcommittee that he's on. Actually referenced that in a couple interviews here recently. Didn't say specifically today, but he did talk about when asked by Stephen Igo of Hoist the Colors in 94.3 The Game. When Igo asked, "Hey, Coach, I know you have probably a pretty strong opinion about this, but what would you say to the committee as far as why the Pirates deserve to host?" And then Coach was making his case, and he said Butch Thompson, that's on the subcommittee that I'm on for the Southeast region, said that Cliff, you shouldn't feel bad about the RPI, which at that time of the conversation was 24. He said you should not feel bad about that because you did everything you could, with your non-conference schedule to try to make that not be the case. And you look at the Pirates' non-conference RPI. Give me a moment, but I want to say it's top 5. At least it had been. It is the non-conference RPI. It is now 9th. So non-conference strength of schedule. Non-conference strength of schedule 12th. So there you go.
By the way, I know why Matt's not on the show tonight, guys. You know why? He's partying really hard because Charlotte won Conference USA, the tournament, and I feel like he's partying there with a drink in his hand like a true pirate. There, how about that? North Carolina RPI is 9. North Carolina strength.
No, not the non-conference RPI. That's the information that I just referenced.
Okay, thank you, Waylon. I'm sorry. I thought you meant
just throwing it up on the screen for our viewers, and anyone maybe going back and watching the show archives. I'm just throwing the numbers that the information I'd spit out onto the screen. Appreciate Waylon chiming in as always.
Thank you, Waylon. Can you shoot some cannons for us? He's out there in, I guess that's left field there at Clark LeClaire. But seriously, guys, how about that? When Kyle, you were talking about the baseball conference next year for the American, Charlotte winning the tournament. there for Conference USA, and they'll be coming in next year. So great for them. I know, like I said, that Matt is thrilled about that, and they'll be great next year. The basketball and baseball certainly is more of a rivalry than the football will ever be.
Yeah, Charlotte winning Conference USA, good for Charlotte. And they are coming into the American, so it's good for the league. But yeah, certainly more of a rival going forward in baseball and basketball than we'll ever consider them in football.
Yeah, I don't ever see that happening. But anyway, I wanted to congratulate them and tip my hat to them. They won. And again, that guys, I want to ask you guys, and I want to ask the guys and ladies that are watching and listening right now, as far as next year, one of the things that hurts us is because of our baseball conference not as being as strong as it could be. But with the baseball teams we have coming in, don't you guys think that that will help us next year? I mean, obviously we have to win. I mean, I'm not saying that, but as far as what's really hurt us is because we can't help the conference we're in.
Yeah, baseball will be a bit better. I mean, it's not going to go from what it is now to being one of the. It'll be better. You got Charlotte's pretty good. FAU's pretty good. I think UTSA is pretty good.
Yep. San Antonio.
And of course, Rice historically is very good, but they've been down for a while now.
And excellent point here. Appreciate loyal listener Justin Butts sending me this information. A tweet by Ben Upton of the 11.7 podcast, who played his college baseball for the Mercer Bears about 5 or 6 years ago. But Ben tweeted a picture of the 22-23 committee members, and Coastal Carolina, Indiana State, and Auburn all have an AD, or assistant AD on the committee. and those three are going to be, obviously they had excellent seasons, but those three are going to be, seated there somewhere between probably 13th and 16th.
Having Gilbert on there might help more than what we think.
Man, how can it hurt? How can it hurt? I mean, like I said, he has a lot of respect in the community, if you want to, when it comes to ADs, and then with our baseball program, I mean, it speaks for itself. I really believe next year will be great. But guess what? The great thing about it, we got a lot of baseball ahead of us. I think that's one of the great things that after the loss today, I was very hurt, but I started thinking about, hey, we still have everything in front of us that we need to achieve. Winning a regional, super regional, Omaha, winning a college World Series, all that's still in front of us. And guess what? We've won more regionals than we have conference tournaments in the Cliff Godwin era. So it's not like that we can't win a regional if we have not won a conference tournament. That's just a cherry on top. And of course that we wanted to host a regional, but it's going to be interesting. I want to get, let's go around the horn as far as the listeners and viewers. Where do they think we're going to be on Friday? I wonder what they think. Like I said, I'm going Conway. I think we're going to be in Myrtle Beach. They're in that area with Coastal. They came here last year. I think we'll be with them. That's my pick, but I hope I'm right on that. But I don't, it is what it is.
And thank you to Justin Butts for the graphic.
Yeah, I'm going to go Columbia, like I said, 2 in South Carolina.
And you, hey, Kyle, you might have a great point of South Carolina might be an easier team than Coastal. I mean, I still don't see how Auburn. Well, I see now because they have 80. Great point there, but I just don't see how South Carolina and Auburn, how they got it. I'm sorry for repeating myself, but it just really is. It's mind-boggling. As far as being hosted, host, and I know, Bubba, you're good with the numbers, but what's the chances if you host your percentage of winning the regional? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't know right offhand. I'd have to look up that number, but I know it's extremely high. Obviously, just think about the Pirates. All the times we've hosted. 2001, we advanced out of Wilson. 2004, we advanced out of Kinston. And then 2009, we advanced out of Greenville.
Yeah.
And then obviously all these years we've hosted consecutively. The only one we lost was the very
18.
the very first one in that run in 2018 when South Carolina advanced. So we've advanced 7 out of the 8 times we've hosted. So,
Yeah. By the way, somebody that knows about baseball and Pirate baseball, John Gass, he says, sorry, total BS. Greenville should be a host, not being biased either. And I agree with you, John. I really believe that it's crazy. A team that has 45 wins, regular season champs. But I really believe, I'm going to do a Kyle now. I really believe that we are a dangerous 2 seed. Not that we're the only ones out there, but maybe this will give the team motivation that they didn't get respect that they deserved, in my opinion. But we'll see how that plays out.
I predicted Columbia because that's where I think. You talk about Conway. I saw somebody project this there at one point, but maybe a little far from home. But I believe I think I'd like our chances to win that series or regional.
Where at again? Columbia?
Auburn.
Oh, Auburn. Yeah, Auburn is again. I'm not anti-SEC. I'm not anti-Auburn, but there's a reason why you get a regional site. It's because of your
nobody cares if you are.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just trying to say that it's not like I have. I'm just making the point. I don't have anything against them. I do. Don't on the board.
I can't stand the SEC.
There you go. I mean, you can make a case. There's a lot of them, but how about the guys with as far as UConn is concerned? How did they do this weekend? I didn't follow them.
I believe they won the Big East tournament.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why. They're a perfect example. They've had a great year. Not that I care anything about UConn, but just again trying to be fair to them. I just don't understand why they were poised to. I thought they were, and then up in Matt's territory, his state, if you will, that they would be hosting. In fact, I don't think they've hosted something like since
they did not win the Big East tournament. That went to Xavier, and they had also lost to Xavier 10-2 earlier in the Big East tournament, and then they had lost a couple games
down the stretch,
or one in particular late in the season there in the middle of May to 12-43 Butler. After beating the Bulldogs in a pair of 1-run games, they lost to them 11-8. So yeah, that did not surprise me at all. I knew UConn had played their way out of hosting them because they sometimes, if they're borderline, that they'll maybe get the benefit of the doubt from a regional standpoint, but they played themselves out of any consideration.
Yeah, 43-15. I get that. I get the losses there, and I guess they would have also had to host a tournament to have a shot. I mean, they would have had to win the tournament to have a shot to host a regional. What I'm trying to say, but 43-15, strong to me, a strong resume. But what do I know? Richard Allisburg, Kyle, no Boston College host.
Yeah, good. Or should they be hosting? I wouldn't mind being sent up to Boston if they were.
Yeah, I think we could do very well up there too. That's the thing. I have a lot of confidence in this team. It stings that it hurts really bad that we didn't get the victory today, but we've got a lot of baseball to play. And Justin Butt says Tulane to Baton Rouge.
Yeah, that would be my guess.
They would be a 4 seed, right, guys?
Yeah, boy, and that's going to be a 4 seed that nobody's going to want to see because you're not getting a 4 seed from a horrible conference. You're getting a 4 seed from a mediocre conference, and they had to go through a legitimate program, East Carolina, to win the championship. So nobody's going to want to see Tulane as the 4.
That's true.
And they can really, really swing the bats. So so if you're considering, like the Pirates have done as well as other teams in the past, holding their ace until Saturday for that winner's bracket game to go 2-0, then you may want to reconsider that if you just look and say, oh, we have Tulane 18-40, and obviously the coaching staff is very unlikely to do that. They're not going to overlook how the Green Wave swings the bats, but that's something to keep an eye on. Because I told somebody that texted me earlier today when they're like, I'm surprised the Pirates lost to 18-40 Tulane. I said, well, on one hand, yes, but they're much better than their record as far as some of the talent they have on that roster, and they're clearly playing as well as they had played this year. So it would not surprise me to see them win a game or two. And clearly, with their even though they pitched better in the tournament, or they wouldn't have done what they did, they to have any shot at competing in a regional and having a chance at advancing, they have to stay out of the losers bracket because their bullpen for the majority of the year was a mess.
No doubt, no doubt about that. It's going to be definitely really interesting. And by the way, they have the viewer party tomorrow for the regional, where the announcement of all the regionals. They're going to have that tomorrow in Greenville. So we'll see where we're going. That's going to be a lot of fun. At I guess, is that noontime, guys? I know that we have to be there at 11:30, but that'll be great to see where we play.
I'll confirm that, but I believe that's correct.
But we'll see how it turns out. I tell you, this is going to.
That's what time the show's on ESPN too.
Okay. Yeah, I feel good about it. I think we're going to do very well this week. I'm excited. I tell you what, aren't you guys excited about our chances with pitching? We're poised with all the, like I said earlier in the show, and I really believe it. We played 6 games with all that pitching, and we almost pulled it off in the losers bracket, coming out, go to the championship, and we won't have to play that many games coming up in a stretch like that ever again this season.
Yeah, no doubt, and appreciate you, John Gass, saying have fun. That he'll continue to tune in. You guys are great. Keep up the great work. Go Pirates.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you, man.
And
I watched Major League 2, by the way, a few weeks ago. I thought about you, and a great performance. In case you guys didn't know, John's in that movie. Probably.
And Sarah Sanders, we will do that as far as having a regional podcast show tomorrow night after the bracket has been unveiled. We'll take a look at it, and then also Robert Matthews chiming in when I was making some of my comments about Tulane and the way they can swing the bats, talking about the player of the tournament, T.O. Banks, Tulane left fielder today. He is the same guy that had hit 3 home runs against us in that one game in Greenville.
Yeah, he was incredible. Didn't he go? Was he 4? He was. Let's see. He reached base, I think, 4 times. So it was a fly out, but he pretty much had his way with us every time today for this afternoon. So tip your hat to him. He's one of the best players on the team. And another thing, guys, is this Tulane team, as you guys remember, with that coaching change, a lot of those guys transferred. They had a lot more talent. And for them to do all they've done, they've really, really improved a lot as the season's going on.
Yeah. And while we still have this graphic on the screen as far as the regional sites, just thinking about some of the storylines here. You have Charlottesville. Obviously, the Pirates have had success there in the past, and then UVA was in our regional last year. You had that memorable game where Zach Agnos came in to close it out and get the save. Obviously, Clemson.
About Eric Backett and Clemson.
Yeah, well, that's what Eric Backett and Nick Schnabel at Clemson. If we were to get sent there, Columbia have a strong history with the Gamecocks in the postseason.
2015, we were in Coral Gables.
Yep. Conway, obviously, Coastal was a part of last year's regional in Greenville, and then we've played in the Conway regional in the past, back in 2008. You have I don't think it's going to happen, but if we were to get sent to Lexington, you have Ryder Giles that's a part of the Kentucky Wildcats. Clearly, we've been to Nashville in the Super Regional. You have with Tuscaloosa and Cliff Godwin turned that job down back, I guess 7 years ago now.
Yep.
And then clearly with Wake Forest, a regional rivalry, and it's a game, a series that's been dormant in baseball for quite some time. I guess the last time we played them, I want to say, is when I think we beat them in Zebulon back in the Billy Godwin years, back in like 2013 or 2014. I remember going with my parents to watch us beat Wake in a midweek game at Five County Stadium.
No doubt. That's going to be it's going to be interesting to see. They are no doubt a great team, but again, we'll see how they do, as all the teams do. Guys, a lot of great storylines, again, we were talking about, and we'll see how it all plays
out. Who's on the bubble, guys? Bubba, who are our bubble teams to be watching tomorrow to see if they get in?
NC State's one of their last 4 in is what they're predicting.
Yeah. My gut says, just a moment, and we'll bring up the Wolfpack's resume here. Their RPI bodes well for them. The RPI is 23rd. I know last year when they got left out, their RPI, I'll go back and see what it was.
Higher. Yeah,
I think it was a little bit higher, but they still had a very good RPI when they got left at the altar, so to speak, last year. This year on the Wolfpack, 35-19 overall, 26-7 at Doak Field, but just 7-11 away.
I don't think they're going to get
in. And then 13-16 in the ACC. So on one hand, Sarah Sanders said State ain't getting in. I wouldn't think so. But I think
I felt like they had to win the ACC tournament to get in. That's my feeling, Sarah and everybody else, and they did.
Their non-conference streak the schedule, and I understand. I think it's much better than it was last year. Perhaps let me quickly go to the 2022 non-conference strength of schedule, because that's one of the real things that kept NC State out. I think last year they were 14-15 in the ACC. They finished 35th in the RPI, so they were somewhere around there when the regular season ended, or at least the conference tournament. So with the Wolfpack last year, their non-conference strength of schedule was 190th. This year it's like 118 or 119. So it was better, but still not very good.
Right, and that's going to hurt them. I mean, the thing that they don't understand is that, you're playing in a great conference in the ACC, but as far as that part of the strength of schedule, but the non-conference is just unbelievable. And Richard has a great point, too, guys. His story for the regional sites, he says, I don't want baseball to be divided like football with power conferences and mid-major talk. Unfortunately, this is what the regional sites look like to me. And I agree with you 1,000%. Kyle made that great point about Southern Miss. There's no reason in the world. They were regional regular season champions and tournament champions of one of the best conferences in the Sun Belt, and they don't get in. They've got a great resume, and you're exactly right, Richard. Auburn and South Carolina get in, get a regional host because they're in the SEC.
Yeah,
and that's the third time I've said that, but I firmly believe that.
And as far as Coastal Carolina being referred to as a mid-major, I mean, it's ridiculous for anybody. But I've heard people that do an excellent job covering the game that I highly respect. That I highly respect for D1 baseball, and because they do an excellent job. But they started using this P4 lingo because obviously ACC, SEC, Big 12, and then the Pac-12. And they've been using this P4 lingo, and then referring to a team that won the national championship in 2016 as mid-major.
It's not. There is no.
Yeah,
There's,
speaking on behalf of Coastal Carolina, East Carolina,
Southern
Southern
Miss.
Miss, anybody that, yeah, go on and on. I got you mid-major hanging.
Louisiana.
I like what Craig has to say. He said, "Kyle sounds like he's ordering hamburgers at a drive-through." I know.
Can you hear
Bubba
me
probably,
now?
would you like fries with that? Sorry, sir. We don't have any ice cream tonight. Our ice cream machine is broken.
You must be at McDonald's in Williamston.
A lot of places. It sounds. There are
No,
times.
I just said that because you're always saying that about the McDonald's in Williamston and other ones in the area.
Yeah.
But yeah, one other comment that I had to make about the Wolfpack, because
Can you guys hear me now?
we can.
Yeah, it sounds good sometimes, and it sounds like you're like faint, like
All right.
way.
Well, I just got home. So I hit my Wi-Fi now. Now, I just wanted to go ahead and say on behalf of Coastal Carolina, East Carolina, Southern Miss, Louisiana, Indiana State, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I got your mid-major hanging, baby. You know, use the term mid-major. It's ridiculous when you're talking about schools that, compete on a national level like East Carolina, Coastal Carolina does in baseball. And like Bubba said, Coastal won the friggin' national championship in 2016, and you want to call them a mid-major. I mean, that's so insulting. I mean, it's.
Think about those
I don't
programs we
understand
just
why.
named, except the Pirates. Coastal Carolina, national champions. Southern Miss and Louisiana have been to Omaha this century. So in the last 20 plus years, they've been to Omaha.
The last time
Tulane has.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The last time Wake won it all, 1955.
But they're a major.
No, I know. I'm just saying
it's just I know.
Yeah.
I'm being smart. I'm being a smartass. It's I don't know why things have to be labeled. I don't. Oh, we got to call it. Can't we just call it good baseball? Power 4.
Johnny Gardner, Fresno, the Shockers, Wichita State.
Yep. Of course, Shockers winning the national championship under Gene Stevenson, and then Fresno winning that national title that we referenced earlier, where they won the WAC tournament to get in and then went on the unbelievable run. But going back to NC State, because it's just mind-blowing to me being located where they are. I understand you're in the ACC, but just being located in this region, when you are playing midweek games against East Carolina, Coastal Carolina, Campbell, all of whom have top 25 RPIs, how in the world do you have a non-conference strength of schedule that's so bad? It's because you played Wagner 234, you played Belmont 216, and both of those, these are 3-game series. New Jersey Institute of Technology 222.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And so there you have three series. I think those are the only 3 non-conference series they had, and they're all against teams that are between 216 and 234. So you're largely it'll be interesting to see.
Why would you do that to yourself? Why would you put yourself at that disadvantage of schedule?
even if you're only stepping it up, for one out of those 3 weekends, but one of those 3 weekends, play, put your big boy pants on, Wolf Puppies, and play someone.
Play freaking Charlotte.
Play a 3-game series against Charlotte. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a tremendous. This is NC State, Craig. We're talking about Coach Avent and the Wolfpack. It blows my mind after what they went through last year that they did the same things to themselves, and maybe this year's schedule is already set in stone, but we'll see in 2024 if they're left out once again, which they quite probably will be, if they'll play a Charlotte, a 3-game series, or someone of that nature.
Hey guys, how about the fact that think about this in 2021, they're a rival, but they got screwed. They got screwed by the NCAA big time, for the whole mess about COVID. That was ridiculous. Then last year they missed out, and there's a good chance. I'm not on the committee, but it's a good chance they're outside looking in. And again, strength of schedule means something. And Elliot Ament is been around for a long time at NC State. He should know better on that.
No, he really should, but we all know he likes dodging and playing tough teams. So,
well, yeah. It is, as they say, it is what it is. But Robert asked me a quick question off the record as far as off of baseball and sports. Being in Williamston, he said, "Tell me about Georgia Dean's. We hit the Hitchin Post last week. Georgia Dean's is right across the street from Hitchin Post, as you probably know, Robert. Georgia Dean's, to give you a quick synopsis, that is a lady that was really big here. Her name was Georgia Dean. That was her middle name. She actually she had a florist there and lived upstairs of that, which is now it's like a banquet room. But anyway, it's a great restaurant, like high-end Southern cuisine, if you will. Great atmosphere, great service. The food is good. I do recommend it. I think being a foodie, I know Kyle knows a lot of great restaurants too. But have you eaten at Georgia Dean's, Kyle?
No, I haven't.
Typically I thought you would just go ahead.
No, typically when we go to Williamson to visit my dad's, we'll either eat at Porky's or Shamrock.
All right. Yeah, your dad's the best. Love Frankie. But
the snake charmer knew they weren't good in the big picture and wanted to try and catch lightning in a bottle.
You talking about Elliot?
Yeah.
Elliot Ament. Well,
or as Kyle says, Elliot Averett.
That's right. Ament, come on, man. He knows. I mean, this is not. I didn't realize. I had forgotten. I think I remember they played the Was it you said Wagner? I think I remember that, but yeah. I didn't. What was that institute?
New Jersey Institute of Technology.
Come on, Elliot.
And then Belmont from Nashville.
Yeah. Okay. That the institute thing. I never heard that one. So
yeah. Wow. Yeah. NJIT.
Sounds like an online school. Did they play an online school? Is it like that high? Was it like that high school that was on ESPN that was not even a real school that just existed online?
I forgot about that, Kyle. Yeah, that was a great story.
That's hysterical. Like, who the hell are we playing?
But and the other thing about that is, with NC State's resources and that money from being in the Atlantic Coast Conference,
yeah,
it's a little bit different than our situation where we have significant budgetary restraints that in the past we had played a series at a Pepperdine or a Cal State Fullerton or UCLA on multiple occasions. I know twice we went to Westwood to take on the Bruins, but with NC State, if they wanted to do a trip like that to play a UCLA or an Oregon State or Stanford or whoever, or maybe even a Long Beach State that would have a decent RPI.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody like that. But in my opinion, if I was on the committee, if you're one of those bubble teams like the Wolfpack are, and I see a non-conference schedule like that, especially after you did it last year, ain't no way you're getting in.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially with the 13-16 league record. If you were 14-15, that's still, I think you'd be on the outside looking in. But 3 games under 500 in your conference, and you choose to schedule like that, and get out of here.
By the way, I've got a topic for you guys. Speaking of money, for you guys, I just had this thought over the weekend, and I forgot to text y'all. So in fact, all our viewers and listeners, y'all can chime in too. Recently, I was listening to, by the way, our good friend Stephen Igo is doing a great job on 94.3 The Game, and he has the Hoist the Colors show every weekday noon to 1. So I want to give him a shout out. He had Hank Hinton on, who is one of the managing partners of Inner Banks Media and, of course, 94.3 The Game. And they were talking about with the Team Boneyard and the NIL Collective. And he was talking about they've raised in just really since January, like $536,000. And they were talking about, Hank was talking about the other folks that are, doing the similar thing, said that, and as far as East Carolina is concerned, we should raise $1 million. It got me thinking about our great baseball program. And I know, Kyle, you're talking about, the football team, but we have a lot of great baseball players. How great would it be if we can up that number as far as you can actually put in there who you want to give it to? So it could be the baseball program. It could be a baseball player. Say if I say Lane Hoover and I want to give him $500 or whatever, then I can do that. But I just want to get your take, guys, on, it was something I thought about this week, and I forgot to mention our group text, and also for our folks with a co-host here.
Dave, I was getting something out of the truck when you were talking about that. So
I thought maybe you were eating a Jersey Mike's number 8 again.
No. I not today. I had seafood boil tonight many hours ago. But I think what you were asking was about the collective and how it's going. I didn't even catch the numbers. How much money are we at in the collective?
We've spent it all out. When they get it, they obviously, it's not like they have like a pot. As soon as they get it, they're giving it to the different athletes. But
it has not been. It's not all spent.
Okay.
No, but
536,000.
Yeah, it's between. Yeah, it's right around 550,000 thereabouts. In I want to say about 11 months or something.
Well, and they haven't really. They were talking about they have been around like a year, but almost a year. June will be a year. Yeah. But they really started in January, really pushing this thing hard, and they raised most of that money, guys, in about 4 months.
Yeah, so right, about $400K, I say.
Yeah, and so my point is, Kyle, you're big on and I thought about you. You're big on the NIL, and as far as the American is concerned, like schools like they were competing against, we need to raise about.
I'm big on the NIL. I don't know if I'm big on the NIL, but
what I'm talking about is the fact that what I'm talking about.
I think it's very important, and I think it's very unfortunate that it's out of control. I'm all for guys making some money, but I'm also for some loyalty. And you come here, and the scholarship's got to mean something, and you want to support a guy, and it's hard to say what you do. Like with our O-lineman that transferred to Auburn, who knows what he got offered? He might have got offered $50,000. Who knows? So it's hard to say what we would do. The problem is that it's allowed to be done. That we can have a guy here after spring ball, first team, arguably our best offensive lineman, and Auburn decides they needed another offensive lineman. And that deal was made before he entered the portal. And you can't tell me it wasn't. Nobody can convince me otherwise. And that's what needs to be cracked down on.
I was talking about the fact of not that you want all this outrageous spending. I'm talking about the fact that the importance of the fact that we need to be putting a lot of resources, meaning the Pirate Nation needs to step up and give a lot of money to it. And my end point to tonight bringing it up was the fact that baseball being so good, you can actually give it to an individual player, or you could give it to the baseball team. Say I'm going to give $1,000 NIL for the baseball team. We actually have one of the board members of Team Boneyard gave it to the lacrosse team. So you could actually say, I'm going to give it to a certain sport or a certain player. So I was just thinking about our baseball players. How cool would it be to have the baseball team, every baseball player, when we have the issue of going back to scholarships, 11.7, which is totally ridiculous. I don't want to waste any time on that or go on a tangent, but that would be great if we could raise a lot of money for NIL for baseball. Just talking about that specifically, not that that's the only important sport.
Yeah, that's something that'll be interesting to see in the years to come. Obviously, you've had programs like LSU be a big spender, getting Tommy Tanks, Tommy White come in from NC State after his stellar freshman season.
Yeah.
I know you enjoyed that comment there in the private chat.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it just caught me off guard. I was
giving the example of we'll read that to Kyle off the air.
Yeah.
but
I just wanted, I didn't know how you guys felt about that.
Your point, until there's some sort of regulations and enforcement of regulations as far as any type of salary cap and where the money can be spent and so on and so forth. With baseball being 11.7 scholarships, and for the ones that have an abundance of NIL money, it will be interesting to see if they put some of that toward baseball, for instance,
Yeah.
and then supplement it where they're basically on a full ride, and not having to pay for their school or not having to pay for as much of their schooling. So maybe instead of 25%, they're getting several $1,000s, and because of that, it's more like they're on 50%.
Yeah, that's my thing. Is I really believe that for me personally, I would like to. I don't know. And another thing, guys, if you think about it, $1 million is a lot to us. But as far as Pirate Nation, as far as NIL, why not 2 million? Why can't we? In other words, we're not going to compete. I'm not talking about competing with the Alabamas of the world. Don't misunderstand me. But $1 million, we can definitely raise 2 million for the NIL. Don't you think? Am I way off base on that? I mean, I just feel like 2 million would be very doable in a 12-month period.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'd stepped away for a moment. What was the amount you said you think's very doable?
I'm just doing a bubba right now. I said the $1 million is like to compete in the American, to be the upper echelon of the American.
Yes.
I think 2 million is very doable.
In the recent interview where Hank Hinton was on with Stephen Igo on Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game, I encourage you to go back and to listen to that. And we're aiming to have Hank on this show soon. He's agreed to come on, just had to work out the details, and he stays very busy traveling and so forth. In addition to everything he's doing for Team Boneyard, which we greatly appreciate. But
is Igo paying us for all these plugs we've given him tonight?
Hey, Igo. I don't know. I'll text him and ask him if he's paying. If he pay up.
In fairness, he I don't remember what the topic was, but he mentioned us last week sometime on one of his programs.
Oh, well, then I do apologize, Mr. Igo.
To his credit, but
I do apologize, Mr. Igo.
Earlier when I brought it up,
keep mentioning the Sports Objective, and we'll keep mentioning you. Fair is fair. That's all good.
But
yeah, he likes this.
Earlier when he when I brought it up, it was just because I'd referenced a bit of information he had put out there. So just wanted to be fair that that was not something that I'd come up with. So if anyone listening didn't think I was just robbing Igo of his information.
Hey, did I mention how much I like Stephen Igo on hoistthecolors.com? All you got to tell me is he plugged us on his podcast and get on his show, his radio show.
And you won't be able to access the website.
Do it. Say again?
I was joking because you said hoistthecolors.com.
Yeah, Hoist the Colors.
.net.
Yes, .net. Yes, 24/7 site. Go there for all your pirate content. And he's got a tremendous radio show out here. So, hey, like I say, that's all I need to know. He mentioned us. Good on him.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a great show every weekday again, noon to 1. All right, so appreciate everybody. Do you guys have anything before we go? We'll throw it out in the chat, and certainly if you're a real person, we'll do that. But if you're a troll, then we're not. So
we got trolls again?
Yep. But anyway.
Who are they trolling? Are they trolling me?
Yeah, it's all good.
What are they saying?
Maybe moving forward, we'll look at that. John Gast, as far he makes a comment, how about NIL for the Sports Objective, with the emoji with the tongue sticking out. But no, that is something that in the past, John, we actually did that.
Yep.
The previous football season in 2021, and we had small NIL deals with Jaira Wilson,
Ron Jones.
Perhaps I should have just said a former Pirate that's now UCF safety, and most folks would have known who I was talking about. And at least Jaira did get his degree But yeah, that was interesting. I'd like to know what he's getting from the Knights. And then, as Kyle mentioned, Ryan Jones, former
He's
tight end.
saying getting us paid. Well, John, that would be sponsors. And if you want to sponsor our show, then by all means, not you, but I mean anyone that wants to sponsor our show, then we obviously have sponsors, and we appreciate them very, very much for having that. And we're working on that too. So appreciate that, John. And hey, all you have to do is email us the sports objective. So help me out, Bob. I'm sorry, at gmail.com.
thesportsobj.com, or excuse me, at gmail.com. You got.
Sorry, I was tongue tied. I couldn't say it.
thesportsobj@gmail.com. For our viewers, let's see, we'll put this on the screen here, and as soon as we get rid of that comment. But yeah, thesportsobj@gmail.com. If you have anything like that, topics, potential guests, anything at all you'd like to communicate with us about, that's how you can reach out to us, in addition to obviously on our social media, tweeting at us, or also on Instagram at these Sports Objective, or on TikTok as well. But something I want to mention while John Gass is still tuned in is I heard an interview with Joe West recently. He was on with Brian Bailey, and he was talking about when he was on Naked Gun way back in, was like the late 80s or early 90s. So he was saying, here 30 plus years later, that he's still getting a check every month, from that movie.
I did not know that. The original Naked Gun?
And then, say that again?
The original Naked Gun?
Yeah, the Joe West was an umpire in that movie.
Yeah.
So for that small role he played in that movie, he said over the last 30 years that he has collected $250,000.
Oh my God! I did
that
not
small,
Wow.
that small role in 33 years or so, he has collected $250,000 or thereabouts. So John Guest, the reason I brought that up is because many of our listeners may know John Gass was in Major League Two, so
yeah,
he's had the dough rolling in as well for his scenes in that movie.
No doubt. And John has always been very good to us. John said he needs an agent. Yeah, I tell you what. I was in a movie. This is a true story. Back in 2012, and I stayed up like 30 some hours, and it was actually a movie on Netflix, and I never made the cut. So that was kind of sad. But anyway, Nate is asking Bubba, do we expect AMAC to be fully recovered by next week and ready to go? I think so. It was a lot of it. Don't you think, Bubba, was just exhaustion? I don't think it was anything real serious.
Yeah, I definitely think so. You look at how AMAC performed, and then obviously the hydration situation with the receiving the fluids of the IV, and he still had a tremendous 8-hit week. I think when I crunched the numbers, I think AMAC was 8 out of 24. As Kyle has rejoined the program here, and we'll bring him in momentarily. But yes, AMAC should be good to go. From everything I've heard, when Friday and the regional rolls around.
Yeah, I was just reading. David sent me a screenshot of my text message, and so I was just reading. I had missed the comments from Buff and Buffy. So I'd like to tell Buff and Buffy, whoever you are, to below me.
Buff and Biffy.
Buff and Biffy, Diff and Diffy, blow and blow me. How about that? All right,
Oh, sorry.
That's what they wanted. They wanted a reaction out of me. They got it. So I made their night. I hope they're happy now.
All right. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to get the shit back on the rails here.
Oh, if any of our listeners knows a good plumber in the Kinston, Goldsboro, Snow Hill, LaGrange, Green, if they'll come to LaGrange, that's all that really matters. If anybody knows a good plumber, seriously, no jokes with this. Please hit me up on Facebook.
All right. All right, guys. Do you have anything before we go? I know we're running over an hour and a half, but we. Mark
Thank
says
you, Mark.
That's right. You
through
tell
book.
him, Taker. You tell him, Taker.
Yeah,
And
Mark Calloway is the greatest.
That's
But,
the Mark Calloway, by the way, guys. I don't know if you realize that. That is Taker himself.
Oh, right, the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. Oh man, I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan. Yeah, that documentary, The Last Ride, is great on Peacock. If you haven't seen that, very good. Saw that when it first came out. But
Hey, Mark, I got the I collect this is something for Biff and Biffy. I collect WWE action figures, current and classic, as long as they're classic stars. And I have Mark Calloway, Undertaker as Mark Calloway figured box. If I send it to Mark Calloway and he autographs it, that's technically legitimately having Mark Calloway autograph it.
all right, the Undertaker.
So yes, like Craig points out, going back to the Joe West, the income he's receiving from that small role he played in the movie Naked Gun from over 30 years ago. He said that 250,000 over 33, that comes out to $8,333 or thereabouts per year.
There you go. It's a nice little side hustle.
Not bad for what was if you heard that interview, Craig, which I'm guessing you may have, that the little role, I want to say it took him 2 or 3 weeks and to for what they filmed. So a little 2 or 3 week commitment, certainly no longer than a month, turned into to quite the opportunity for Mr. West.
That's like literally like every year he did that work, but he hasn't worked for it in 25 years. That's crazy. But hey, like John said, we need to get a agent, right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Us three need to get an agent. We just need more sponsors. We just and when you put together a professional product like tonight's show, why shouldn't you get more sponsors?
No doubt, it's a great show.
Yeah.
Buff and Biffy.
But looking ahead, I know we had a few viewers chime in just saying, "Hey, tomorrow the brackets are unveiled around lunchtime, so whether it's sometime in the afternoon or tomorrow evening, taking a look at the brackets, and we'll see what we can do. I know tomorrow evening have a family commitment, for a few hours and getting some family portraits done and so forth. So,
God, are you going old school family portraits? They still do that crap? Are you like
we're having some pictures taken. Not only
are you going to Penny's?
Not only no, we're going. It's
I'll give you. I wish I had a rim shot.
Hopefully the weather will be better than it was today. But my immediate family, but also Stacy and all of her sisters and their families. And I'll tell you guys more about this.
Is it Owen Mills? Are you going? Is Owen Mills going to do the pictures?
No. We're going. Just a local photographer. We're going to a farm here that's about 10 miles from our house. So fingers crossed for good weather. And like I said, I'll fill you in more about the situation off the air.
I live kind of on a farm, Bubba. At least it's a farmland behind my house. Dave's been to my house. You can come here and take pictures, and he hasn't been to this house. Bubba can come here and
I went to the house
in front of the field. It'll be great.
Wow. Yeah,
I can only imagine how Kyle would photobomb us in some way.
That'd be fantastic. I would just add to your photos, make memories with the family.
Robert, hey Robert, that would be classic. Robert says, "Would you have the ECU hat on or off during the photo sessions, Bubba?"
Depends on the picture.
It will be.
Let tell Stacy just for a joke. Can you have one picture with the ECU hat on?
Yeah, it'd be hat off, hat
Hat
off.
off. Okay.
Although it's funny, my students at school, obviously, we just recently got out of school here because we started so early. So our final day was Wednesday, the 24th.
Wow.
But yes, Robert, a lot of my students at school, being a PE teacher, I'll wear a hat most days, and on the few days that I don't wear one of my Pirate baseball hats, it's like, Coach, what happened to your hat?
Craig says he won't. Uh, Craig says he won't see Bubba's glamour shot. Do you remember those back in the day? Y'all were probably young, but the glamour shots. Y'all remember
Yes,
that? Oh my God, they were so cheesy.
I'll go for a windblown glamour shot with all the hair I have.
Sounds good.
But obviously that's an oxymoron there. Me and glamour shot, and but Justin Butts, it sounds like my wife. She can't stand me in family pics with my ECU hat on.
So, Justin, do you actually have like a real portrait, or are you talking about just like if you're at a get together and they take a picture like on a phone, or is it like a real professional photographer? I don't know what to. Oh man, you guys have anything else?
Nope. Hey, disappointing day, but no reason to not be excited about our postseason potential. I mean, like I said, Trey Savage, with the way he pitched, and depending on the matchup, he may very well get the ball in his familiar Friday night role in Game 1, depending on who we're playing, and get off to an excellent start and put ourselves in a winner's bracket game on Saturday.
And Justin says that even in professional shots, he wears the ECU. Wow. And all he wears is pirate gear. So,
Yeah, I'm always told Justin that I'm a walking billboard for East Carolina University, and that's what I strive to be. So that that's music to my ears when I hear someone tell me that I'm a walking billboard, and they should pay me for wearing pirate gear so much.
it's an honor to wear that for ECU, purple and gold. What are you talking about? So, all right. Good luck to the Pirates. We'll find out tomorrow. In fact, we'll be there at Town Bank Tower at 11:30. So we'll put that stuff. In fact, Bubba and I'll be working on that, and I'll do the front end. And of course, Bubba does a great job. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bubba's working really hard on those YouTube shorts. I know Vance Root. I want to give him a shout out for Zach Root's dad. He helped us out all week long at the tournament right there behind home plate. He did a great job. Thank you, Vance. I want to give him a shout out. I was about to forget. Bubba, you're doing a great job with that. I appreciate.
Yeah, thank you to Vance as well. Look forward to meeting him at whatever regional we play in. And earlier in the season, obviously, he wasn't able to make as many games as he would like, being there in South Florida. But when I would attend games, if Zach was pitching, or maybe even if Zach wasn't pitching, I'd send him a few videos, and I know I just tried to do the same. Put myself in his shoes. I would want someone to do that for me if I had a child pitching all those hours away. Even when he could, watch it on ESPN Plus, and just giving him a different perspective of it. But yeah, appreciate Vance, and he did an excellent job. He said that he was laughing about it. He said that his wife kind of gave him a tough time, telling him to put his phone down and watch the game. So I appreciate you doing that. I certainly did not intend on you sending as many as you did, but it is much appreciated.
Yeah, thanks to him, and we're looking forward to having Zach around a long time. Vance, we love. Man, a great lefty. What a great pitcher Zach is. And I can't, that's one of the part of college baseball and college sports that's great is when you have these guys. When Kyle was talking about the guys like jumping all around, it's great to have guys like Elaine Hoover, like a Garrett Saylor, like a Carter Spivey. Those guys are so great, and we appreciate them for all they've done for the program for the Diamond Bucks. Johnny Gardner, thank you very much. We were about to forget it. PGXgloves.com. We want to thank Mark Manakazi. Kaz has been so great for us the last few years. And Kyle, they've got a lot of great stuff, right? I guess Kyle's still with us. PGXgloves.com. You can go there and get custom baseball gloves. They have custom batting gloves, football gloves, swag apparel, and much more. And I tried it out. It's true. If you put ECU and the promo code, you get 25% off. So great stuff there. Thanks to Kaz. And I think Kaz is supposed to come on the show too, coming up, right, Bubba? I know he's very busy with a company, running a company, and he's managing a team again.
Yeah, Kaz will be on the show soon. Actually exchanged a text message with Kaz 2 or 3 days ago, talking about the Pirates a little bit, and as well as what he has going on up in Maryland. And he's actually going to send me a hat for PGX Gloves. I think it's going to be green, and reason being is because of a group that I'm affiliated with at my school. You know, our colors are green, and then our mascot is the lion. So sharp logo that he has with the lion.
Oh man!
And so nice to get that hat from Kaz. Certainly appreciate it. But yeah, we'll have Kaz on the show here soon. We'll have several different Pirate coaches, trying to get. I think we'll have the coordinators on with football, maybe Blake Harrell, as well as Andor, Donnie Kirkpatrick. Coach Schwartz should be sometime in early June. Also, Kim McNeil, kind of put a bow on their conference championship season, and then aiming to get some of the Olympic coaches on as well, such as Shane Winkler, and then also Amanda Moore. Obviously with softball and women's lacrosse.
Yeah, and Shane Winkler's done a great job recruiting. We appreciate him very much. And Amanda Moore had the first 10-win season of the program in program history. So congratulations to our ladies lacrosse team. Very proud of them. Join the Pirate Club today. Make sure you do that. In fact, 252-737-4540. You can do like I do every day, ecpirateclub.com. Go there. By the way, guys, looking forward to Wednesday is the Pirate Club Armada in Harvey Hall for the Pitt County chapter. So looking forward to that. We're going to go to that on Wednesday. Looking forward to lunchtime for that. And get your season tickets. I talked to Coleman Spain. I know that Bubba has as well. The ticket director. I know this time of year, there's kind of like people are not buying tickets, if you will. It's kind of stalled out a little bit. But I think we're getting close to 13,000 guys. So let's go ahead and get that number up easily. Bubba and I talk about this all the time. We could easily have 18 to 20,000 season tickets. Just go to ecupirates.com, or you can give them a call at 1-800-DIAL-ECU.
Yeah, as you see that graphic, nearly 3 weeks ago now that we had eclipsed 12.5. I know probably a week or so after that, maybe 10 days after that, so around May 15th or 20th, I had spoken with Coleman, and we were over 12.6. And like he said, this is not uncommon at all after the deadline hits, and that next month is pretty quiet, but then it'll pick back up maybe mid to late June, but certainly July and August. And then he said with some of the numbers, he said that he feels very confident that we'll eclipse that 16,000 and hopefully more.
No doubt. And by the way, Bubba, I don't even think I told you. Sorry, I just realized this. It's been crazy the last couple of weeks with school and everything with the kids and the sports they're playing. But he told me, if you want to go to Michigan and you're going to get it through ECU, go ahead and put your request in for that. And I believe there were $60 a piece, I believe. And then there's also a handling fee of maybe $10, $15. I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you want to go to Michigan, everybody says they want to go to Michigan for Labor Day for the Big House, then you better go ahead and get your tickets. If you want it through ECU, then make sure you give them a call at 1-800-DIAL-ECU. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, 60 or 65 bucks. And like you mentioned, that handling and processing fee, but not bad at all as far as the ticket prices.
Must be nice to have, what is it, 107, 109,000. So
yeah, interesting to interesting. I'd like to know more and discuss that. Whether it was John Gilbert.
And we're getting 1.8 for that, right?
As far as the allotment that we received,
only 3,000.
Right, that's what I mean. Like receiving 3 or 3,500. I thought it might be a little bit more than that. Maybe.
I guess they only give what they have to give. Is that what it is? Because it seems like we give 3,000, but we have 51,000. I don't know, but it seems like that number.
Yeah. No, obviously, I'm not. I know that I'd like to know Michigan's situation, and clearly, that place that, despite the large capacity, is packed or essentially packed, game in, game out. Even when they weren't going to back-to-back college football playoffs. So I would love to know, perhaps if they have like a season ticket waiting list there. You think about Nebraska all through the years, despite them not having been nationally competitive for the most part in the last 15 or 20 years. I guess the last time they played for a national title was back in 2001 against Miami. But the way Memorial Stadium there, and obviously that's a little bit different situation because it's the only Division I program in that state. But certainly won't dive into all the other logistical, issues there as far as the populations of the states and so forth. But nonetheless, that is impressive. And that
they do have a waiting list, because I got an email. I signed up for the email because I want to make sure I get tickets for that game. And if you try to get I'm pretty confident on that email. I'll look again, but crazy. But hey, Pirates, we can. One of the ways we're going to improve is Pirates Unite, right, Bubba?
Yeah, the IPF. Clearly, that's something that has been needed for a long, long time. And so, hopefully, within the next 6 to 9 months, we will break ground on that and make it become a reality.
Right.
So we'll at least have it prior to the 2025 season, if not sooner. And so you can do so by just like joining the Pirate Club, 252-737-4540. And that's something that can be spread out if you don't want to just give it in one lump sum. It can be broken down into monthly payments or over a number of years, which is what I opted to do. So that way I could give a little bit more.
Yeah.
But yeah, 252-737-4540 and do your part. Don't think that any gift's too small because it's not, and I know it's all appreciated.
And Bubba, I did the same exact thing. I've given so far, and I'm not a rich man, but I believe in Pirates Unite. And thanks to John Gilbert and obviously Brian Robinson, another person we're getting on very soon for the executive director of the Pirate Club. They've done a nice job with that campaign, the $60 million capital campaign, and hopefully we can go ahead and get there. And by the way, I've given already to Pirates Unite 4,000, and the reason being, Bubba, is, as you know, I sold my baseball tickets, and all that money for baseball tickets went to that, and so I'm trying really hard to put my money where my mouth is, and so make sure. Even I'm not bragging; I'm simply saying, you can be creative if you do extra jobs like I do, like DJing, different things, karaoke, selling my baseball tickets. However, I can give money to Pirates Unite. Even if you can only give $50 or $100, that's awesome.
Yeah, and the final thing that I have before we close this out is that if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, Dave mentioned the shorts. What I've done, some of you may have been listening, since the show came into existence back in March of 2018, and we greatly appreciate that. But you may have joined us in the last year, 2, 3. I guess it was April or May of 2020 that we started using YouTube and Facebook,
Yep.
and stopped being an audio only podcast. So with that being the case, what I've done is some of those interviews that were audio only prior to April of 2020, or even a couple that were maybe audio only after that, for one reason or another. I've taken some of those interviews, chopped them up, turned them into 5 or 6 YouTube shorts, like our conversation with East Carolina great and first round draft pick of the Utah Jazz, Blue Edwards. Also, conversations that we've had with Chip Carey, play-by-play voice of the St. Louis Cardinals, formerly the Braves and the Cubs. Some comments that he made about his grandfather, Harry Carey, also of Will Ferrell impersonating Harry Carey. And then also Coach Connor's recent interview with Steve Watterson. If you've not listened to that episode with Steve Watterson, check that out, these shorts. And I think you'll probably find out that you want to go ahead and listen to that whole conversation as he talked about Jerry Glanville, Jeff Fisher, Jack Pardee, Jerry Rice, and several NFL Hall of Famers and colorful NFL personalities. Our conversation from back in the audio-only days with Ernest Biner, where he's talking about the legendary Joe Gibbs, NFL Hall of Famer, Ricky Bussell, former Virginia Tech offensive coordinator, talking about the recruitment and coaching of Mike Vick and nearly winning a national championship with the Hokies. So many terrific conversations that we've chopped up into those YouTube shorts. And then if you hear those clips, you like what you hear, then go listen to the full conversations on Audio Boom or one of our audio-only platforms. And then on social media, in addition to subscribing to our YouTube channel, where we're closing in on 900 subscribers, also like and follow on Facebook, follow on Twitter at TheSportsOBJ, and follow on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at the Sports Objective on Instagram and TikTok.
No, we're everywhere. And thanks to Bubba for your hard work behind the scenes, brother. I appreciate it very, very much. Thanks to Kyle. Thanks to all of you. Appreciate it very much. Busy night. Pirates, again, we know are not hosting, but we'll find out tomorrow. And we'll have a special show for you tomorrow night, right, Bubba, in prime time, most likely. So we appreciate you. We'll let you know when that is. Appreciate it very much. We'll say goodbye to Kyle, Bubba, and to all of you. Thank you so much. Until next time, you've been watching Extra Innings right here on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody, and go Pirates.
Hey, Pirate Nation, this is former East Carolina pitcher Davey Penny of the Keith LeClaire era, class of 2003. Keep it tuned to the Sports Objective as you follow our Diamond Bucks on the road to Omaha, because y'all know we're going.
That concludes this week's edition of Extra Innings, presented by Next Level Training Center on the Sports Objective. Join us next Sunday night as we will once again talk East Carolina Pirate baseball. Be sure to follow the show on social media at the Sports OBJ on Twitter, at the Sports Objective on Instagram. Like and follow our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen to the show pretty much anywhere podcasts are found. As always, we appreciate you tuning into the show. Go Pirates!